Okay, so king f8. So Fischer actually just plays f4, and it looks, you know, as though this should be a promising f-file attack in theory, but in principle, you know, Petrosian is very, very resourceful, tactical. He's going to be questioning at a very high level of resolution any resources coming his way. And he plays a very solid move, bishop e8. And then we see a nice logical bishop, you know, zigzag maneuver that you get in like the French defence versions, like, you know, just to get the bishop to a more active square, because it's a bit bad behind its pawns at the moment. From h4, it's exerting more pressure on the black position. So bishop h4, and it's forcing another provocative kind of retreat, and inviting f5. And Fischer, you know, he accepts that invitation, because otherwise, you know, maybe black's going to play f5 and set up a fortress anyway. So let the d pawn go. Let this structure change dramatically now, with the d4 grip going. So knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, fe. But in exchange now, obviously black's king is under fire on the f file, and there's a lot of pressure. So is Petrosian going to survive this? After e takes f7, in the midst of this attack, the true genius is revealed here, echoing Steinitz' accumulation of positional advantages. White doesn't necessarily want to make the black king, he just wants to accumulate a small advantage at this stage, and it would be nice to gather this light square bishop for this knight, if this knight could come in like this. Whoops, like this. So knight f3, so Fischer doesn't mind the bishop exchange, it furthers that strategic goal. Pick up that light squared bishop. Knight g6 check. So black is obliged, and now, okay, is the bishop going to be superior to the knight? There's also knight to take queen's pawn. Right, but the king is also under fire on the f file. King e7. Again, Petrosian does this. He even beat Kasparov in a game where he was moving his king around a lot of the game. He puts his position on the brink, but Fischer is calm. You know, queen f5, king d8. Is the king actually going to evacuate to the queen side, and then Petrosian's even going to use the assets of his isolated pawn leg to like the e4 square? So this would be a worst case scenario. But Fischer just calmly puts both rooks together neatly. Rook a e1. Okay, there's check. Okay, vacating c7. Is the king going to make a run for it? King h1. Okay. So at the moment, is king c7 to b8 possible? The move played was actually rook f8. King c7 looks as though it's too vulnerable. Let's see this making a run for it. Does it actually work? How is it actually refuted, if it's refutable? So king c7. Ah, check. Check. That would stop the king from going to b8. So queen d6. Ah, rook e7. Exploiting the pin. And here's trouble. If knight d7, there's bishop f5. And actually the rook on the 7th is causing damage like this, just picking up the g7 pawn. So this would be clearly better for white. So this kind of variation, the king can't really wriggle out too easily here. So Petrosian, Tigran played rook f8. Now Fischer played queen e5. So his queen and bishop are acting as like the two bishops, the queen on the dark squares, the light square bishop on the light squares. So now we see a nice opening of a central line, trying to sack the c-pawn, trying to infiltrate with the queen to d6. Can the queen get the d6 square? b4. If the queen goes to c4, there'll be queen d6 check, and winning material. Okay, queen c6, now c4, tearing open the lines, offering another pawn. The king's just stranded in the centre. Petrosian's provocation strategy, starting with king f8, seems to have backfired here. Very accurate play from Fischer with the attack. D takes c4, and now not the routine like check. Bishop f5 was played. Maybe check, it would allow wriggling out, you know, c8, b8 escape plan. So bishop f5 first, keeping the check in hand, rook d1. So rook f7, preparing to defend the king. Check, rook fd7, offering an exchange sack. Okay, and that's taken. So what do we have here? Black's the exchange down. He's struggling really. Rook d e1 check, and Petrosian actually resigns. His king's getting slaughtered. If king f7, there's queen e8 mate, I believe, because of this pin on f6. So a crushing win. Let's have a look at that again. So from a seemingly innocuous, slightly harmless in comparison to the plan of Botvinnik, bishop d3. I'm not entirely sure why c3 isn't also playable straight away. Maybe there's a quick e5. I would like to check that out actually. Is actually if you're going to play this variation, is c3 actually plausible here? Okay. Maybe it will just transpose. Maybe it's transposable. So knight c6. So this idea of just trying to exploit the dark squares and the strong post e5 in this game was interesting. The flinging of the check changes the configuration a lot. The bishop's behind the pawn chain. It's got bishop b5 as an opportunity, but that's cut out. And now we see this knight h5, which I don't know. It doesn't seem to work out too well in this game because of this antidote. This knight coming to e5. It exposes the knight as a tactical liability in some variations. And Fischer just had a grip on the position. So the provocation strategy starts here. But Fischer doesn't mind going in for the attack a little bit, and he masterfully collects the light squared bishop, which is something actually which is echoed in the later Fischer-Spassky match 2 years later, where in one of the crushing games Fischer got access to the light squares, and I think the light square bishop, and that eventually won him the game. So the collecting of a key trump card, and then the queen and bishop can act as the two bishops in a way, covering both colour complexes. And this stripping open the d file, it just seems to be a very logically played attack. Now winning the exchange. Okay, let's also knight d7. Was that actually plausible here? Knight d7. Is there a problem here? Maybe bishop d7 and queen b8. But let's check. Let's engine check this briefly. Okay, so in this position, bishop takes d7. So say check, check, and black has to be putting the queen here, queen e6. So that's not good, not particularly good. So check. So black, he's just lost this. Then the two rooks and the queen are working wonderfully together. Black hasn't got a chance to exploit his extra pawn here. Because of the mating threats, because of that e8, queen e8 mate. So resigns here. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.